Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, in my humble abode. Last week was conference championship week, and there were some picks that I made did not go right. Obviously, I picked Georgia to win. I picked Florida State, picked Michigan, I picked Oregon. That's where we're going to start today. We're going to start with those. So, Georgia, Alabama, SEC championship game. Apparently, Bama wanted it more. Georgia got beat and eliminated themselves from the playoff race. Okay. Oregon did the same exact thing. Apparently, Washington just wanted to prove to everybody that the first game was not a fluke. The better team did not win. Now, if you ask me who was a better team between Oregon and Washington back when they played the first time, sure, I'm definitely going to say Oregon. They've looked better up until a few minutes before kickoff of the Pac-12 championship game. You ask me who's the better team between Oregon and Washington? Oregon. You look at their stats; that they were statted up. Statted up. They had more blowout victories than Washington did. The opponents that they played, they blew out compared to the very same team that Oregon just blew out. Washington would struggle with. After the Pac-12 championship game, you ask me who I think is the better team. I don't think I can say Oregon. Oregon has 2 losses. Both losses to the same exact team. Both losses by 3. And this round 2 of Oregon-Washington matchup, Washington they dominated. So I think Oregon got outcoached in the first matchup. Oregon got outplayed in the second. Does it hurt my feelings? No. Am I upset that Oregon lost? Sure. They're my second favorite team. Michigan, however, I almost predicted that one correctly on the dot. Michigan won that 26-0. And if you remember from my last video, I said Oregon. Michigan is going to beat Iowa by 30. 30. I was 4 points away from calling it right down the middle. Not only did they win by 26, they also shut Iowa out. It was 26-0 at the end of that championship game. To me, that's not a championship. That's just another game. So Michigan got away with a quote unquote bye game in the Big Ten championship game. Florida State looked awful. They played Louisville for the ACC championship game. They won that one 16-6. They were number 4. They would have been number 3. They should be number 3 because they are the third of 4 undefeated teams. I say 4 because Liberty is also undefeated. Who else played? Texas. Texas had a lot to prove to not just myself, but the entire country, including the playoff committee. Texas played Oklahoma State for the Big 12 championship game and just came out on all cylinders. 49-21. So if you think Texas doesn't belong in the playoffs, we'll find out how they really belong when they come around. But I think Texas is probably the... You know what? I think they're the best team in the country. Maybe not. Maybe not. They're the most improved team in the country. Yes. Oregon, I think, would beat Texas today. I think Georgia definitely would. Maybe even Missouri. Missouri might beat them. I don't know. But those were the Power 5 conference championship games. Georgia got beat 24-21 to Alabama. Florida State won 16-6 over Louisville. Michigan won 26-0 over Iowa. Washington beat Oregon 34-31. Who else was there? Who did I miss? And then Texas beat Oklahoma State 49-21. Now, I don't really care much about the group of five championships because they didn't really matter much. Because obviously, there's no group of five team in the playoffs, so they weren't really playing for anything. Liberty, however, playing for something, not for playoffs, but for some bragging rights. They are 13-0. They are ranked, 23rd? They've got something to prove. They're in a bowl game, a big bowl game at that. Um, Speaking of bowl games, I'll get into those here in a second, but bowl season is upon us. We've got one game left before bowl season starts, and that's the annual Army-Navy game. Obviously, since I'm prior service Marine, go Navy, beat Army. It's the 124th matchup between these two. Navy, I'm pretty sure, is leading the series 64-52-7, I think. So 7 ties in 124 games. The most recent winner was Army. They won last year on a field goal. Now they're going back and forth. I think the longest streak between the two is 7, and that was by Navy. But I'm pulling for Navy. They've got some sick uniforms this year. I'm pretty stoked about it. Um, but I'm predicting Navy is going to win between 3 and 6. They're not going to win 3-6. They're going to win by either 3 points or 6. It's going to be close. They've been close for the past few years. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. And I think the Navy's going to stand on top with a last-second field goal for the win. That's my prediction on the Army-Navy game. Now, bowl season. I'm not going to go through all 42 bowls because that's a lot. I'm sorry, 41 bowls. There's 42 if you count the national championship, but nobody's in that one yet. I'm not going to go through all 41 bowl games. I'm going to go through a select few. I have those few right here. So, let me bring this over here, actually. So, I've got the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That's 18th ranked NC State versus 25th ranked Kansas State. I don't know if you can see this, but Kansas State is a 3.5 point favorite. I haven't seen much from Kansas State this season. What I did see was Missouri beat them on a long last-second field goal. I think Kansas State gets the win here. NC State's been too inconsistent from what I've seen, from what I've heard from my NC State friends. Kansas State's pretty good-ish, I guess. But I think Kansas State will win this by, I'll say by 7. Kansas State beats NC State by 7. Now I've got the Valero Alamo Bowl here. It's 14th ranked Arizona versus 12th ranked Oklahoma. Arizona's a 3.5 point favorite, so same as the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Two different teams though. From what I've seen, Arizona is pretty good. Oklahoma is okay, but Arizona has been more impressive. So I think they're going to get the win by 10. I think Arizona wins their bowl game. First time in a long time that they've won a bowl game over Oklahoma by 10. Down here you've got the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. It's 19th ranked Oregon State versus 16th ranked Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 10.5 point favorite, y'all. 10.5 points. Do I think they're going to cover that? No. Oregon State's been pretty good. Notre Dame has been pretty good. I think Notre Dame gets the win, and I want to say they win it by 3. Closer than the experts think, closer than Las Vegas thinks. I don't think Notre Dame can win by 10.5. Down here you've got the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. between ninth ranked Missouri, 7th ranked Ohio State. Now, Ohio State is a 1.5 point favorite. I don't know if Ohio State will win this, so I'm going to go with the upset here. And I think Missouri will win it by, let's go with 4. I'm going to say Missouri wins it by 4. Ohio State's pretty good. Missouri's pretty good. But I don't know if Ohio State can cover Missouri or slow down their running game because they've got a great run offense. But I think Missouri wins it by 4. Over here, you've got the Capital One Orange Bowl. I'll get into that one. I'll go into that one last. So for now, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is the 11th ranked Ole Miss Rebels versus the 10th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is a 4-point favorite here. I think they're gonna get that win, and they're gonna win it by 7. So Penn State over Ole Miss by 7. I would say Ole Miss can win this. Judging by Lane Kiffin, he's not very good in big games. I don't know if you know this, but bowl games are big games. So when you're playing the 10th ranked team in the nation and you're 11th ranked, it makes it a big game. So I think Penn State's going to win this by 7. They're going to cover that 4-point spread and then a little bit more, which is fine. It's fine. Then you've got the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. It's the 17th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, the 21 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee is a 7.5-point favorite. Iowa is probably one of the worst offenses that I've seen. Most of their games end with like a 6-0 game, or they don't score at all, or they win very close. I'm pretty sure they beat Nebraska by 3 on a last-second field goal, 24-21. So I think if Tennessee can keep consistent quarterback play, or if Joe Milton can be consistent, they're going to run the ball a lot. I know that for sure. I think Tennessee comes out, gets the win. I'm going to say they win it by 2 touchdowns. I think they cover that 7.5-point spread, and they get an extra touchdown just for good measure. But Iowa hasn't looked good to me at all. The only reason they were in the Big Ten Championship is because they're in the Big Ten West. They beat all their opponents. But then they showed that they don't contend with Michigan, obviously, because they got blown out 26-0. Then you got the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Here's Liberty, 23rd ranked Liberty Flames versus 8th ranked Oregon Ducks. Oregon is a 16-point favorite. I'm not going to go into much of this because I think Oregon, they're upset, they're mad, they're going to come out and get the win, but they're going to win it by, I'm going to say 24. They're going to win it by 3 touchdowns and a field goal. This 16 points is generous, I believe. I know Liberty looks good, they're undefeated, but they literally haven't played anybody. They've played in the group of 5 all season. They've had a couple FCS opponents. But I think Oregon is going to play with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to take it out on Liberty. I feel sorry for Liberty. They're going to be 13-1 after this game. And they're going to tuck tail and run back to Virginia. And Oregon's going to fly on back to Eugene, Oregon with their heads held high saying, we should have been in the playoffs. We should have beat Washington. But I think Oregon's going to win it by 24. Capital One Orange Bowl. Between 2 Power 5 champions. You've got the 6th ranked Georgia Bulldogs versus the 5th ranked Florida State Seminoles. Florida State's 13-0. Why are they 5? Is it because Jordan what's his name? Jordan Travis? Is it because their star quarterback's injured? Is it because they beat Louisville 16-6? I don't know. I think they should be 3. Florida State got, for lack of better terms, shafted. You can't put an undefeated Power 5 champion or conference champion outside the playoffs just because their quarterback's injured, just because they beat their conference championship opponent by 10. I don't think you should do that. I feel like if you're undefeated and a group of 5 or a power 5 champion, you're in the playoffs. That's just me. I don't really care. I mean, it's Florida State. I'm a Tennessee fan, so whether Florida State's in it or not, it don't bother me none. Tennessee's 21st, so they're not in it, so I don't care. But I'm just saying, now, I do believe that if Florida State was to be in the playoffs, they'd be probably number 3 playing Washington, and I think Washington would mop the floor with Florida State just because of the fact that Florida State's playing with a backup quarterback. With that being said, Georgia's going to win by 21. They're a 14-point favorite. The Georgia defense is just going to. Now, this may be a big number. Georgia hasn't been impressive to me at all this season. They were 12-0 going into their conference championship game. They lost to Alabama by 3. So I think that's another angry team. They're going to play with a chip on their shoulder as well. Florida State might too. I don't know. Florida State may come out and surprise everybody and beat Georgia. They're going to play and they're going to say, see, we should have been in the playoffs. But they're not. So Florida State, Georgia, Capital One Orange Bowl. That was the orangest Orange Bowl last year. Tennessee and Clemson. Tennessee beating Clemson 31-14. SEC is going to keep their run. They're going to win it Georgia's going to win it by 21. And then you've got the playoffs. You've got the All-State Sugar Bowl with the 2 ranked Washington Huskies versus the 3 ranked Texas Longhorns. Texas is a 4-point favorite. I think Texas gets the win. And I think it's actually going to be pretty close. I don't think they're going to cover that 3-point spread. I almost wrote a 7 or a 10 on there. But then I thought about it. I think Texas will win by a field goal. It's going to be a high-scoring matchup. Maybe even they might. You know what? I'm just going to say they're going to cover the spread. I'm going to say it's a last-second touchdown. Texas wins by 7. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. The defenses aren't really that great for either team. So I think Washington and Texas will come down to a last-second touchdown. It's going to be, I'm going to say 49-42. 49-42 Texas. Keep that in mind. All right, I'm over here. Texas. I don't even know why I wrote that, but whatever. And then over here, you've got 1 ranked Michigan, 4 ranked Alabama. As you can see, Michigan is a 1.5-point favorite. I think this is going to be a close game as well. I think Michigan has been the better of the 2 teams. So I think Michigan gets the win here. I'm going to say it's going to be 3. Michigan wins. We'll go with 24-21. Offenses are okay in this matchup here. Defenses have been great all season. Michigan's offense has been better than what I've seen Alabama's defense. And then for the national championship, my prediction is going to be Texas and Michigan. I think Texas will get the win. Now, this one's going to change, obviously, after these 2 games play. Because I'm going to see more from both of these 2. I'm going to see more from both of these 2. And whoever wins between these 2 matchups will obviously be in the national championship. And I'm going to have to do an actual national championship winner. But I think Texas, I'm not going to do a score prediction on this because I don't know who would be favorited. Although it might be Michigan. But I'm going to say Texas gets the win. Texas is your 2023 national champion. There's also a Heisman finalist, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels from LSU has played really good. Um, Michael Penix from Washington has played phenomenally. Bo Nix from Oregon has played great. Um, if you include records in each of these players' chances of winning the Heisman, Michael Penix looks the best. Him and his team are undefeated. They're Pac-12 champions. They beat Oregon twice. Bo Nix, he's got 2 losses, both to Michael Penix. Jaden Daniels has 3 losses. So in my honest opinion, if you're just looking at how teams performed around these quarterbacks, Michael Penix is your Heisman winner. Now, with that being said, you've got to look at way more than just records. You got to look at way more than the team performance. You got to look at the stats. And from what I've seen, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, great quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels, fantastic quarterback. I'm not saying that because I'm an SEC fan. I'm not saying that because I'm an LSU fan. I'm not an LSU fan, obviously. Um, but my honest opinion, I believe it's going to be Jaden Daniels winning, Michael Penix in second, Bo Nix in third. I don't know how the Heisman voters vote. I don't know how you can vote, but I think Jaden Daniels is the favorite to win the Heisman this year and take it back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's all I've got today. I gave you my bowl predictions for the ranked matchups where both teams are ranked. I gave you my playoff predictions. Just remember, I think Texas is going to win it all. They're the most improved, and they've looked better, especially if they meet Alabama in the national championship. They've already beat Bama once, and that was in Tuscaloosa. We don't know what's going to happen, but bowl season's around the corner. I'll see y'all on Saturday for the Army Navy game. Go Navy!